Anywho, here we go. Ready? I know, I gotta warm up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Smells Like Teen Angst podcast. I'm Sarah, and as always, I am here with my reading cohorts. I feel like we need a different nickname, but we'll come up with one later. Jordan, say hello.
Hello. Hey, listeners, why don't you give us a nickname? You tell us what our name should be.
Keiki.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
I always like to introduce our voices just in case we have new listeners, because we do get a bunch of new ones every time we put out one of these podcasts. So I'm like, welcome to the journey. Welcome to
There's
our
always
podcast.
at least one person who says they're going to go back and listen to our old episodes, and it makes my heart so happy.
I know. These are like Twilight, Hunger Games. Eventually we'll do Mindfuck. Eventually we'll do Divine
Oh, Jesus,
Rivals.
we read that.
I'm like, we'll do Divine Rivals. I think I still have my notes for that. We're a little backed up. Life is crazy.
I'm going to have to do some rereading.
I know.
Yeah. You know, waiting for Sarah is what makes this hard. You know, everyone has a pace. Jordan is our fastest reader.
Yes, she is the fastest.
I'm next.
That's because look, my desk was always outside, y'all. So I just sat there reading. Teacher kicked me out.
And then there's me.
And then there's Sarah.
Like, if I don't have a deadline, I will dilly-dally. So our key to this is we need to pick a day, and then I will get it done. But with Onyx Storm, I was gone out of town for work for 2 weeks, and there was no way I was going to even have thoughts put together. But we are here to talk about Onyx Storm, the third installment of the Empyrean series of Fourth Wing. What is the official name of this thing?
Exactly what you just said.
Oh, I nailed it. I get
you're right.
Time. So feel free to correct me. So I stayed away from all the spoilers because, you know, I'm like 2 weeks behind everybody else. I was very grateful. I swiped away my feed since, you know, TikTok went away and came back. My whole feed's messed up anyway. So I was not spoiled. Huzzah. And I will say, because I want to start, and just so listeners, if you're new to us, we will talk in and out of order the whole time. If you have not listened to this book, finish it and come back. If you've listened to the other ones, go to the other book episodes and then come back. But we're just here to discuss it. I'm going to start with my overall thought. This was very much, I saw people complaining about not enjoying Onyx Storm. It was a slog and hard for them to get through. I disagree, but I think it's because I also enjoy third season TV shows. Because if you think of things like Sons of Anarchy, it's a full setup season in season 3, right? They're in Ireland. It's nonsense. But once you get to season 4, you understand why you kind of slogged through it. I'm also calling Onyx Storm Breaking Dawn Part 1 because it's the exact same storyline of collecting people in order when they're going to the Isles for allies. The same way in Breaking Dawn, they need witnesses.
That's fair. I will say, I think that a lot, in my opinion, the people who said that they didn't like it or it was a slog don't read a lot of fantasy novels. I think they read a lot of romance novels. They read a lot of romantasy. They don't read straight up fantasy. And in Onyx Storm, Rebecca Yarros absolutely beat the brakes off of romantasy and said, no, this is a fantasy series. We are in a fantasy series. There are romantic parts to it. There's a love story, but this is a fantasy, and I got to build up the rest of this world so that way when I drop you into book 4, you know where we are.
100%.
Yes, it is very much like coming from me. Every time I saw someone say that they hated the book or that they couldn't get through the book, I was like, this has been my favorite so far, but I'm also someone who loves world building. And I think that's the best part of a story. And we've spent the last 2 books getting to fall in love with these characters and seeing their relationship develop. And we've already learned from the first book that she's going to kill people we love. So let her build the world. And that's exactly what this book gave me. And that's why I liked it.
And listeners, keep me honest, but I feel like in one of our previous episodes, either the Fourth Wing one or the Iron Flame one, I did complain that I didn't know enough about the world. Now I do.
You did.
I don't remember which ones, but correct.
I don't remember which one, but I complained about it because shitty world building is my number one pet peeve. I hate the Cars movies for that exact reason. If you have questions, just text me about it later. Leave a comment.
I'm with you.
I support that. I never thought about that, but you are absolutely right.
The world doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I want to talk about Xaden's character this book, because last book we were all a little annoyed with Violet and Keiki on your reread, because you reread them all before, and you're like, I'm less annoyed with her. I understand her.
No, both of us reread them. You're the only one who did it. And both of us came to the same conclusion. The second time around, she is less annoying.
Yes. I think the first time around, coming off of Fourth Wing, she was a strong character to me. And then it felt like a regression in the second book. But in rereading it, I completely understood, because I was like, oh, you've been lied to. And it's really hard for you to deal with being lied to and being in love with a liar. And the thing is, you will lie for someone if you were told what you're lying for, but you also don't have that. So you're just stuck in this like ambling space where you're like, what am I actually doing in this relationship? Like,
she also, at the beginning of Iron Flame, turns 19. And I had to take a step back the second time I was reading the book and be like, oh, I remember being 19. I was just a little bit insane, just a little crazy, particularly when it came to my boyfriend. I get it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think we talked about that when we read Iron Flame, that we're reading these from an adult perspective. You know, I think we did like mention that. And so we were annoyed with her, but realized we were annoyed with her because we're adults and can see the forest through the trees a little bit, you know? And now when you're reread, you can empathize.
We're used to making excuses for men. We've been doing it for decades, you know? You don't have to, like Sabrina Carpenter said, you don't have to lie to girls. If we like you, we'll lie to ourselves. Like, it's fine.
Facts.
Okay, so what about Xaden? Because we got on a tangent.
In the like for the first like third of this book, drove me crazy. It was very Edward Bella, I'm gonna hurt you. Because as we know, we're coming off of him starting to turn venom. He's channeled. He's kind of channeling when they're having sexy time, like, but not full yet. Like, it's like he's doesn't know how to control it. And it's just the constant back and forth of Edward and Bella. I could hurt you, but you won't, but I could. And he's like overly jealous when her like royal ex-boyfriend shows up. And this is just very out of character for him. And I'm still trying to figure out and justify it in my brain as a character choice. But it just really seemed out of left field for me because he's so confident and overly confident. And even when it comes to her until this moment. And I just can't buy it because he's
not necessarily. No, you see, you didn't reread. You did not reread. Because if you go back and you reread Fourth Wing again, he is so mad about Dane. And it doesn't necessarily, he does not show it as like jealousy, but he gets really cranky about Dane a lot in book one. And he even at one point confesses to her that when Dane kissed her after Threshing, he got so mad about it. Even though they weren't dating yet, like they weren't even friends at that point. But he was fucking pissed because Dane kissed her after Threshing. So that's definitely within character. And I didn't see it as like an Edward Bella thing, just because I see Violet as having more agency. Mm-hmm. I got annoyed by it because he wasn't listening to her or giving her an opportunity to contribute. He was very much making a unilateral decision, and that part was annoying. But give me Vacation Xaden all day long, because that part was hilarious.
Yeah, Vacation Xaden was a mood. He was goofy movie. Like, it was so great. I do think that I was a little tired of the Xaden brooding, but I do understand that character choice for him, because very much in my reread, I realized like there's this huge backstory on Xaden that we don't know. You know, he constantly reminds us like, I'm a bad person. We hear Kat say like, you know, you've never been afraid of him. Like, just a lot of these like little clues that kind of let you know that this guy was a severe asshole prior to Violet. Mm-hmm. And like he is simping hard for her, even if we don't feel like it. And he's also like a shadow wielder, you know, so hiding is what he does best, but he doesn't have good self-control when it comes to Violet. And I think throwing this venom thing into it, it's all fracturing. Like all that self-control is fracturing. And he's just saying what he thinks. He's reacting the way he is inside more outward, because he's losing control.
Exactly. Have y'all ever been around a man with a cold? That's what he was this book.
Yeah, very true.
Legit had man flu, girl. I had
man flu.
Because also, like, if with when Violet had to meet Kat and Kat's messing with her emotions, all Xaden did, and if there's more that I'm not remembering, because I remember being annoyed with him for like dismissing her feelings about Kat. Like he's just like, she means nothing to me. You should believe me. Like I'm all in with you. And she's like, bro, I walked in on him, was never really in love with him, and he was banging someone else. Like it's been done forever. Like my ending is more legit than your ending. And he's still like in this brood world. It's like tables turned a little bit for him on him.
Yeah, no, tables did turn for him, but I also think that's something that he has never experienced in his life. So he handled it very poorly because he has basically, since his father died, always been in a position of control and maneuvered to where he would always be one step ahead of people. So I think having Halden show up, and like he was the last person to figure out that was Violet's ex, because I called that shit when he walked in the room. I called it before he even showed up. I was like, oh, Halden's gonna be her ex. Okay, cool, whatever.
Absolutely.
But this is the first time I think that he got outmaneuvered and was the last person to know something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Now
also
you know how
very
it feels,
much,
bro. No.
you've all heard me say it, that I truly think love is like the only legal form of insanity. And they are very heavily in love. Like this is mom and dad, Violet and Xaden now. It's no more like boyfriend and girlfriend. Like it's very endgame vibes, this whole book. And you could tell from the beginning, like they were 100% in for each other. It didn't matter to her that he was turning venom, and he wasn't going to stay away, even if he was, because he is that in love. He's like, well, if it kills me, it kills me. Like I have to be around you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta die.
Sometimes you gotta die. They're also thrown the wrench that Xaden is now a teacher, and so they can't technically be together. So I do love this because it brought back not brooding, but like the yearning for each other. And I feel like that's something that has been missing in things I've been reading. It's been missing in TV shows and like rom-coms. So I kind of loved the yearn for each other from across the room, as well as the sidebar commentary from everyone watching, because they are my internal monologue as well when listening to all that.
There were some great comedy bits in this book, and this book in particular, I'm very excited to see as a television show.
Yeah.
Just because there was like a lot of character growth and a lot of really great moments, but a lot of comedic moments. And I don't care if they have to split this book into 2 seasons. I need them to do a faithful, like word for word adaptation, because I especially need the part where he's like, not a professor. I'm not here as a professor. Goodbye. He picks her up and just runs away.
Yeah.
So good.
Exactly. Like it was like the perfect way to start a fight. You know, he's just like, he's like, well, let me manipulate my way into exactly what I want, you know?
Yeah.
And what else did I just like truly love about Xaden this season? This season. This season on.
Season on.
Period.
Well, you better know we're going to do an Empyrean talk back.
100%. I'm so ready.
I really loved how much Xaden did not give a shit about his title this entire book. Like it just made it so much more like, it doesn't matter. We all know at the end of the day, this girl is like fucking into royalty. That's it. But he doesn't care. He's like, my allegiance is to Violet. My continent is Violet. I pledge allegiance to Violet. And I was just like, I love this. Please be obsessed with me. Like, worship me. Amazingness.
Amazing.
Xaden was treating his title the way, and we've sent each other this meme before, so I know y'all recognize it, but the one where it's like, I accidentally became important at work and it threw in my life.
Yes.
Like, oh, I accidentally became important to a country that threw in my life.
He had this really great moment during one of the 500 battles in this book. There was so much fighting also amongst the world building for this book to have been as short as it was, where he like is trying to he channels with her thing. It has a name. In my head, it's like an egg.
Conduit.
Thank you, her conduit. And like before stabbing someone, he like kisses her on the forehead. He's like, love you, dead. And I just was like, why is that adorable? Why am I giggling as he murders somebody?
Kicks feet. I was like, yes, burn it down, babe.
It was so good. I had this thought while listening about Sloane, that her power is like, while it becomes important in this book towards the end, it's going to be so important like overall in this series, because the way they keep talking about her and the way that she's learning how to take power from things and then give it to others, like I think she's the key to their finally winning, or them all just dying, however this is going to
Oh, absolutely. I think she is going to be the key to them winning the battle at some point. And particularly when you think about the last 2 books, she has played a very pivotal part in the 11th hour.
Yeah.
So I don't see that just going away. And there's a lot of emphasis on how and where they're drawing power from. And in this, I have to skip ahead. Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. I jumped the whole time because I didn't write any notes for that part.
Yeah. So when you have to go back to Fourth Wing because there are seeds in it, right? In Fourth Wing, when she's asking Jesinia about the book that her father gave her, there's a passage in the book that talks about how the dragons will keep you from drawing power. Like the dragon, basically your bond with the dragon will keep you from becoming Vinin. And then there's another part where it says something about how one brother drew his power from the ground, so he turned Vinin, and the other one got his power from the sky. And then the iridescent dragons say they're so mad at Andarna for quote unquote the gift they gave to Violet, which I'm sure we'll get to that later. But like all of this, there's a lot of different things about how and where they're drawing power from. And I think that's one of the reasons Sloane is going to be so important, because I do think they're going to figure out a way to harness power from the sky and not the ground.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do think that there is going to be more involvement in the world of dragons within the future of this book, as well as kind of setting up. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there was like a lot of God talk during this book.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay, so we have 7 gods, like we have 7 dragons, and the last 6 riders walked the earth at the same time. So then I was like, so then one of them must be a god, right?
Right.
So I'm just like,
the number 7 and dragons and where they're getting power from are going to be tantamount to the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm. And like it's coming, and I'm glad I know like all the gods now. I still don't know who Llewellyn is, but or who he is. I know it's a he.
I'm so done.
It took me till half the book to
I'm
figure
so
out
done with
the pronouns.
everybody who was confused with Llewellyn. I'm so done with you guys.
No, I reread the books, Jordan. I reread and I walked into this book still, and I was like, Llewellyn, who's she? And then it was like, oh, halfway through the book, Llewellyn is a he. It's not a place. It's a thing. Like,
no, it's a person and a place. And it's very much, it goes back to, this is a thing that she was really hammering home in this book, the aristocracy and like the class system, which is still kind of weird to me. But Llewellyn being a person and a place makes sense because back in the day, you would be like, I'm just going to use titles that are on top of my head. You would be the Duchess of Windsor, okay? Princess Diana. But then, so you'd be the Duchess of Windsor, but then they'd call you Windsor, even though that wasn't like technically your first and last name, just because that's who and where you were. So he's like the Duke of Llewellyn, and Llewellyn is a place, but they also call him Llewellyn.
Right.
Yes. And I ended up realizing it's the bro who raised them, like him and when they were children.
Who says that?
I know. But it took me half the book to freaking realize it. And I was just like,
names and characters. I don't blame you, Keiki, because like
he was like, I think because they didn't put Duke in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
For like the first half of the book, or like the entire book of Onyx Storm, but they mentioned Duke in the last 2 books. And then there was like a comment about, well, he like raised me. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is why you trust this man. I remember this. We're tapped in.
Were you the one who sent me the Schitt's Creek meme where it was like fold in the cheese, but it was just labeled Llewellyn?
Yes. Fold in the cheese. And I was like, what? Who is Llewellyn? I got there.
I will say I appreciate that at the front of Onyx Storm and now in reprints of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, it has like a glossary kind of situation that tells you like the people and the dragons that they ride and their signet. That being said, I need a more comprehensive one. Like I really am. When I do my next reread of these books, I'm gonna end up with my Pepe Sylvia board because I need to take notes on these fucking books.
Oh my God. So funny.
I saw a really great bookmark on TikTok, but then I was like, girl, you want $11 for this? But it was like a fourth wing, like Empyrean series bookmark that had like all the things, like all the signets and like all the gods and blah, blah. And I was like, thanks, girl. Because sometimes when I'm reading, I'm like, wait, what? Also, can we also talk about like the names in this book and the reading, like Theophany?
Theophany. I Googled it and I sent it to you guys. I was like, this is stupid. I can't even take this serious. Sorry.
Like
Go ahead.
Theo Stephanie?
If anybody listening to us named Theophany.
Not apologies. You should yell at your parents. Like,
Exactly. They Renez made you and they need their ass beat.
hold on.
Stephanie was right there.
Because I looked it up. Theophany is an encounter with a deity that manifests in an observable and tangible form. She literally just took a word that meant something like similar to gods and named the character that.
I love names that said there
name.
was going to be a Stephador. Like, Theophany, is there going to be a Stephador in the next book? Because I was just like, Theodore,
Yeah.
Stephanie, Theodore. Like, why? I don't know how it came together, but it did.
It's like I met Zeus. I had a theophany. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Like,
But it's not
sometimes
an actual name. It's a name. It's just not. It's not a name that's in fashion.
Oh,
Because why would you name your kid Theophany when Tiffany's right there?
with Tiffany's.
I have a weird name, as we all know. It's weird. It's it's Sri Lankan and people don't understand it, and it is what it is. But like, at least it's phonetic and like you can explain it. I could not wrap my head around Theophany. Like, I was like, I've never heard it. It makes no sense. It's hard to say. Like,
And every time they said it, when I do the audiobook, I just giggle a little bit. I was like, I can't even be afraid of her. Like, with a name like that.
and this is coming off of like, there are people in this, their other sage is Berwin,
Barwin.
Like, that's a goofy ass name too. But
okay, I think Berwin is the last name, y'all.
Okay.
Because if you notice in this book, she done it before, but in this book, Yaros does a lot of going back and forth between people's first names and last names. Because even they said something about Tavis, and I was like, who the fuck is Tavis? And I was like, oh, it's Garrick's last name.
yeah, Garrick Tavis, Riddick Gamlin.
I
Exactly.
thought she was adding characters the whole time.
I think that Berwin is a last name, and I think it's Naolin Berwin.
Yeah.
Which also, when you say it together out loud, Naolin Berwin is a shitty ass name. Fuck his parents if I'm right.
Yeah.
I just kept hearing all these names. I was like, are we really adding this many characters? I can't. I don't even know where we're going. Like, we went to so many aisles and we met so many people.
Have my Sylvia board for the next book.
Oh my God. I'm going to do a reread because I did that after reading Iron Flame and I reread Fourth Wing. I just didn't do a reread on this. And I think more things will become clear.
Yeah. Also, I didn't realize, for some reason in my head, it was Xaden's dragon that was Naolin's. But apparently, in my reread, I realized it's Terran that belonged to him.
Yeah, Naolin was Terran's rider. And this is another reason we have all said it from book one that we think that Naolin's been in. I think so even more now because Terran got so cranky when she brought him up this book and like almost bit her head off about like, we don't talk about him. And he was also so mad about Sorrengail staying bonded to Xaden that I definitely think that Naolin turned Venin and Terran was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But see, that's where I'm also confused because I do know that like Brennan is about 9 years older than Violet. So like he's the older brother. But Terran hadn't had a writer before Violet for like, I thought a century, right?
No. They never say that. They don't say how many years it's been, but they confirm in the books that Naolin was his most recent writer before Violet.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I just get confused. I feel like these dragons, they were called villains throughout this book. And I was like, you know what? They might be like, bitch, they might be.
They might be.
Because if they're the reason people are channeling to begin with, like, because you can't use magic any other way, you're like, well, I'll just suck it from the earth. Like, maybe they are the villains because everyone should have a little magic, right? I don't know.
People who are responsible with it. I don't know. Jordan, I looked like you had something to say. What do you want to say?
No.
Oh, let's talk about some of the people they met on their journey for witnesses, their journey for allies. I can't, like, the whole time I was like, I've been Breaking Dawn. We are gathering allies before the fight goes down. We had the people where they went to go meet the queen. They have no powers, and Xaden gets his ass whooped. Dane gets stabbed, and Violet's the only one who really took someone down without help. And I was like, yes, bitch. She like took down the guy for Xaden and the queen that it turns out to be the queen. So I thought it was very interesting and very humbling for Xaden to realize without his magic, he might need to work on his fighting skills. And then we met the people that were like, well, you need to be grateful for whatever our God gives you as a gift. And they murder someone. And they're just supposed to stand there. And
here's the thing. Okay, so hang on. I have a lot to say. Like, let's just jump back to the queen fight later.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot to say about the God of Luck and that visit. And part of it is because I've been reading online and people are so mad about that island. Yaros said at one of the book tour stops that every gift they got was important. Mm-hmm. And killing Traeger was important because and I hate the way it sounds, but like, if he had not died, they would not have ended up meeting the iridescents because they went to that random island. And I read, like, I was on Threads or somewhere, and somebody was like, oh, it's just so fortunate that they happened to stop at that island and they happened to meet the dragons there. I'm like, yes, that was the whole point. The God of Luck set them up. You didn't actually read the book, did you?
Yeah, like your ends and all, which is the God of Luck. And Traeger dies, and in burying him, you luckily come across what you've been looking for the entire time. I also think that all the gifts will come back into play, like the broken compass.
Yeah, Yarrow said that they will, and I thought that when I was reading the book. Like, something's going to happen with Xaden's empty box. Violet has a quote-unquote broken compass, which is going to end up being important. Drake got the cat, which is going to be how him and Mira end up hooked up, because they're going to co-parent Broccoli. So that's important. Dane got slapped, and he needed that shit.
I mean, we learned that Dane can take a little pain in this book, and he might like it.
Somebody got a rusty bucket. Like, I don't know how this rusty bucket is going to work out. And then what is it? Eric got something really weird too. But like, they're all going to come back. All the gifts are going to be important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, Riddick got a kiss though, right?
Oh yeah, Riddick got kissed.
That's the one that I'm the most confused about, how it's going to end up being important. But like, I can wait.
Yeah. I love Riddick, so I don't really care. I'm like, good, don't hurt him. Don't do anything.
I've always liked Riddick. This book turned me into a hardcore Riddick stan. He was just perfection. And they cannot screw up casting him in this television show. Like, I can't think of an actor who embodies him the way that he is in this book, but my God. My favorite part, I think, was when he got stabbed. And you freak out, and then in the next couple of pages, he's like, it just went through my jacket, and I hate sewing, and beat the shit out of the guy.
Oh my God.
I hate sewing.
Yeah. When that happened, I was literally driving home in the pouring rain of the Grapevine with bad windshield wipers. And I was so upset thinking that not that she maybe killed him, but that he got injured really badly. And I literally screamed, no, while driving.
I mean,
we also talk about how he upgraded his signet in this book. Like, and this is the thing that I'm looking forward to in further books, because it looks like everyone has been growing and upping their signet, particularly the first years, because now they're getting older and they're having more classes and having more training. And like, this fool figured out how to freeze a whole dragon from the inside?
Yeah. Crazy. Insane. Absolutely insane. And I'm just so interested to see where these signets go, especially if they keep training them, like what they will bloom into.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like reading this book and learning like how theophany can like create a tornado and stuff like that, like she basically called out the fact that Violet's mom hid behind the wards so she wouldn't have to train that signet that hard and learn how to do what she can do with it. And I was like, oh, so that's why
But
you're
I
a
think
better
we're
storm
shit
wielder than
talking
her.
because I think she was just shit talking at that point, though, because there are other things in the books that point to how powerful Lilith Sorrengail was. And one thing that I want, and I know other people have said it, and like I'm not trying to put this on Rebecca Yarros because she has other things to do, but I would like some companion novellas, particularly one about uh Lilith Sorrengail and Papa Sorrengail when they were young. Some shit dragons point of views.
Yeah.
I really want to know how Riddick got Atrum and Threshing. Like, they're just things that I want to know.
I just need to know. I love all the memes with them being like, what's it like for their brains? And it's like hilarious.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I just feel like he was probably listening to like the new GNX album and he was like, peekaboo. And then Atrum was like, I'll just put some boogers in my chain. And then they were like, I love that song. And then they just like love each other.
He just went into the field. He went, mustard! And Atrum went, mustard!
And then they were just like, we in there. We in there.
Jordan, did you want to go back to the fighting one with the prince, the queen?
The queen one. That whole island is, I don't want to say a mystery to me, but I definitely think we're going to, well, I know we're going to go back there, but I think we have to go back there because that's the island of Dune. How do they say it in the audiobook?
Dune.
Dune.
Dune?
Dune.
Dune. There's Dune, and there's the whole issue of Violet being partially dedicated to Dune. The one thing about that fight that I want to mention is that Violet was wielding her signet during that fight. And there were multiple times where she was wielding and she was like, no, maybe it's just a coincidence that there was lightning there. And we're like, bro, you were wielding. And so this is my theory. And I think I've read like one other person who thinks the same thing on Threads, is that her second signet is not just dreamwalking. She thinks it's dreamwalking because Violet is the dumbest smart person that we have ever met. I think that Andarna actually did give her the power to harness from the sky. Because if it was, quote unquote, just dreamwalking, that the other dragon who just tries to lay into Andarna and get so mad at her and blah, 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 is like, why would you give her something so precious? She's just a weapon, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm sorry, dreamwalking is cool, but it's like, is it really that precious? And it still doesn't explain why this bitch can make lightning when there's no magic anywhere. So I definitely think the actual gift she got is pulling magic from the sky, and so she can do all kinds of shit that she's not aware she can do. It's just manifesting in different ways.
I totally agree with you on that too, especially because we did have Andarna leave her in this book. And she does talk about how it feels different to wield without her, like harder to pull. And I was like, yeah, because you were never pulling your magic from Terran, you know? You were feeding off of what was given to you in abundance, which was what Andarna gave you. So I think that's also how we know that Andarna gave her a magic that's so much higher.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And Darna's apparently back. I don't know. Like, do they just link back in, like lock back in? Like,
maybe.
We don't have anything. We were just like, she's here, my baby. And then it was over.
I loved her a lot, this book, because in the last one, she's been asleep for so long. She's like, Terran is such a girl dad, even in this one also. But then when she's like trying to protect Violet, and her, like, it says like her scales get all like this. Yeah. And in my head, it's like, the dinosaur from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like what I imagine. And then when she's helping Violet trick someone and she's got the panther in the mouth and she's like, I'm about to drill, guys. I'm about to drill. Because like she's not actually. Yeah. She was just very cute. And like she kind of broke my heart a little bit with when telling the story to when they find her people. And she's like 2 hours long of an Andarna show of telling everything that happened. And I'm just like, give me that. I just want a little montage in the show.
See,
No, you know what it
get like
hurt? It hurt
Olaf
for
when
me
he acts the whole
she
movie.
and
Yeah, it's Olaf acting the movies, 100%.
I got hurt when she hurt Taryn's feelings because Taryn tries to act like just big gruff man, and he is the epitome of a girl dad. And when she said that he got hurt, I was like, oh, and like I remember being a thoughtless teenager and saying really shitty things to my parents, and then later being like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I was like, you can't say that to your dad after he carries you around like that. He may not be your father, but he's the man that stepped up. He
But he's
carried
your
you around
dad.
in the baby Bjorn. Like,
But for a second, Keiki and I have been talking about this in text for weeks a while ago. Sigail and Taryn are the blackest black parents I've ever met in my life. And they just
all
up and
black.
adopted 3 white babies. No, 2 white babies, because Aiden is a person of color. They just got 2 white babies who out here misbehaving and driving them insane.
But they gonna beat the black into those children because that's just how black parenting is. Like you hear Taryn all the time where she goes, I can't do that. And he goes, and you will, because that's how your parents raise you. Like it doesn't matter.
I am Taryn, son of.
Exactly.
Right. I like when Violet's like, yeah, I know your name, dude. I've heard it enough.
I've heard it like 1,000 times. Also, was I the only person, maybe because I'm so obsessed with Twilight, but when Andarna left Violet, I just saw the Bella like, it's a possibility. November. Like, I was just like,
yeah,
cracking up.
It was
Yeah, no. All of us Twilight
moment.
girlies thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was
Also,
like, oh, my girl, my baby.
Can we talk about what kind of assholes Andarna's people are? They roll up and call everyone trash, and then
Oh
they're
my
like,
God.
deuces up and like leave. You know what they're like, and they're
I
so
literally
rude.
thought of like elite WeHo gays.
They
Like,
reminded
you
me
know
of,
what
like,
I'm talking
on a similar
about.
vein, I got Richard. No, in a similar vein, I got Richard and Emily Gilmore. Like, oh, so y'all just think you this shit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, oh man, we've stepped into the elite Hollywood gays. And they're like, you hang out with straights?
I was like, damn, they're so rude. They're so rude.
I was just like, I love them. They are so petty. And that was so rude. Do you not know that like all these dragons flew out here are tired as all sugar honey iced tea, like trying to fly through these hot ass islands looking for y'all. And then you just gonna pop up like, I heard you was looking for me. Like, stop it. Stop it.
I'm glad y'all look at you could stop now.
It made me so angry because they're like, oh, we left you there as the Centurion, right? What do they call her? Whatever name they gave her. Yeah. They left Andarna there as like a gauge to see how the humans had changed. But like, you can't break up with your boyfriend, leave him no direction about how to be a better person, and then come back a year later and be like, well, did you change?
Well, did you grow up?
Are you better?
Are you better now? Like,
they left the humans and didn't give no reason, didn't leave any kind of instructions, just said, okay, we hate you, we're out. And then hundreds of years later, you're like, oh, you're not better yet?
Also, they have lived on this planet for hundreds of years. Okay. So they have seen history repeat itself. Like, look at the cycles. Every couple of hundred years, everything kind of resets, fights break out, nations change. Like, that is just the culture of existence. So I'm like, y'all already knew nothing was gonna change. Like, it was all going to start again. You didn't leave that egg there because you were hoping they'd change. You left it there because you knew the problem would arise again and you wanted your hands clean. Like, please.
And then they're going to try and be like, we could smell venom over there. We don't like it. To Xaden. And then he has to be all like butthurt and be like, they don't want to help us because it's me. I'm like, sir, it's not you. But it is you.
Not you. But it is you. But it's not you.
But
but
it's
it
not
is.
But it's not you. But it is you. But it's not you.
They were a lot. And then when they roll up later, like the cavalry, to be like, you're welcome. We saved you. I'm mad. Am I supposed to be thankful?
One, it was only one of them who rolled up, girl. It's not like the whole crew came to save the day. Also,
it was enough. It just was like power flex of, look, only one of us. And look at you now. It just took one. We're good. Like, I was mad.
I don't.
I need to know what happened while Andarna was gone, which I'm sure we'll find out. But there has to be a reason why that guy left with Andarna. Because I'm pretty sure Andarna was there for a little bit and was like, you know what? This sucks. I miss Violet. Bye. And there has to be a reason why he went with her. So I want to know what happened.
I feel like because she can stop time, maybe she can like manipulate time and kind of saw what was going to happen. And maybe might have been there longer in their own world or den than we would have ever known. Magic is magic. Like there might be
that's fair.
something. She might have come back more grown. I mean, she did hang out in that dreamless sleep for a lot longer than any other Feathertail. So
yeah,
things might happen that we just don't understand about this breed.
Let's talk about meeting Xaden's mom. Because all he's ever done is talk about how much he hates her and has left her. And I'm like, how do you not see how your mom has no choices in life, has been sold to the highest bidder her entire life? Like, as soon as they start talking about contract marriages and him and Kat, I'm like, how do you not see this is what happened to your mom? She's not in a marriage with this new man with children because she loves him. She's literally there to breed. But she cares about her children.
I did not get that from, yes, I absolutely agree. Her marriage to Finn Ryerson was absolutely a contract. She produced an heir. Once that was over, she was out. That being said, she still is responsible. Like, that's her son. And she should have had some sort of warmth or love or compassion or care towards him. And, you know, and that's the point of view of Xaden. He's a child. And I can get why she may feel differently. But I definitely think her trying to come around once he came to the island was like, can't we just have dinner? I made your favorite. Da-da-da-da. Like, you know, you don't get to play fucking Susie Homemaker now because you have been gone for X amount of years.
But we don't know the terms
and I
of
definitely,
the contract. Like,
but we also don't know that her marriage to this guy is a contract, do we?
We don't know for a fact. I don't know it as a fact, but the way
we don't know that.
Talking about it, I think it's very obvious she's in a new contract marriage to create heirs with those two boys.
Yes, but I also feel like you do have an allegiance to your child to stay in contact, even if you know, something does arise, you know?
But we don't know that she's allowed to do that. Like, if I'm kind of looking at this world like women of like the 1800s and before, no rights, no choices. She could have like.
But that's not true, though. Look at General Sorrengail. That's not true. Women have a lot more agency in this world,
but
so
not necessarily her. As a woman who's passed around to the highest bidder, and she even tried to explain that she couldn't take him with her. That she tried and then was threatened.
That's because he was the heir. He was the heir to the throne, so that makes sense. But at that point, she had a choice. I can stay and stay with my son, or I can deuce the fuck out. And she chose to deuce the fuck out.
But she
deserves the heat she got.
She didn't have that choice. That's what they were explaining, is that she never had that choice to stay. Her contract was up and she was sent to the next person.
No, she stayed. She left because if she stayed, she would have died.
Right.
That's
so you don't get to be with your son anyway. So stay and leave and go to the next person so that you can at least maybe one day have a relationship with your child.
I guess I just didn't like how she like tried to glaze over the fact that she left, just like jump in and I made your favorite snacks. Like, yeah, when I was 6, like I'm not that person anymore. And I also feel like it was really sad because she also got used as a pawn, you know, like poisoning the birthday cake. I know she didn't think that was probably going to happen. Or the kids getting sent away. Like at first I was like, oh, she's sly. And then I realized she knew nothing about it, you know? So it's like she's a pawn. And she, of all the women in this world, she is one who never found her own agency. And her children have suffered because of that and will suffer because of that.
Yeah, but I also still feel like her not finding her agency is a choice because there are too many women in this book series that have agency. The bookseller, the bookseller's daughter, the queen of on Dune's Island, General Sorrengail, Mira, like Rhiannon, even Rhiannon's mom and sister, who are like supposed to be very like average, normal people, still found a way to escape to Tyrrendor, set up a new shop, raising them boys, took in some extra boys, like.
Yeah, I hear you, but
And
as
they're
you said
learning.
earlier, they're setting up a hierarchy of class, and this is the first time we have encountered contract people and women who are passed around as contracts.
Yeah, I think of how I've seen Kat's growth, as a person in this last book. And I'm like, okay, well, if she can grow, why couldn't Zayden's mom grow? That's by choice. She chose not to grow,
She was also Kat's also sent out and given the opportunity. Like his mom was never given the opportunity.
She needed to take it. She needed to take it.
She needed to take it.
Her opportunity was to get murdered. Like, I guess they're like glossing over the fact that her only choice was to die or leave.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
two sides to every coin. Two sides to every coin.
There are knives all over this world. She could.
Okay, that's very easy to say. We can't be victim blaming Zayden's mom because she is a victim in this
I'll
world.
see her as a victim.
Definitely. Yeah.
I
felt very bad for her.
It's like you're left, you're right. And I'm like right in the middle where I'm like, there were wrongs on both sides of the court. There's no hard reset.
I mean, I understand why Zayden's upset. Like, I'm not washing away his feelings. I understand. But I can also see what happened. And now she has the opportunity to see her son she hasn't seen in over a decade and try to connect with him. And she genuinely thought that she might have that chance when he said, come to dinner. And then her shitty husband pulled some bullshit and ruined that for her forever. And I just feel really bad for her.
Yeah. I loved the petty retribution throughout this book, so I don't feel bad for her. You reap what you sow. It's kind of like how Kat started hooking up with Traeger. And when he died, I was like, well, that sucks, girl. That probably really hurt to watch your boyfriend just get killed like that. But also, you're kind of see you next Tuesday. And I don't feel bad when bad things happen to you because of it.
Oh, I liked Kat in this book. Yeah, complete character 180.
She was just very salty in the last one. And in this one, she's like, okay, fine, I'm a person.
No, when we talk about a character 180, for me, it is Dane motherfucking Ados.
Look, Dane did not get
book one to now to me. I see no growth, no change. I'm like, where is this redemption arc Rebecca keeps talking about? Because I don't see it.
It was not a redemption per se, but his interaction with Sloane made me say, okay, Dane, okay.
Okay, it wasn't just his interaction with Sloane. It was him literally owning up to his bullshit, like, I get it. I didn't trust you, whatever. I want your trust back. She's like, I need these papers. She's afraid to tell him. And he's like, trust me, I got you. Got it to her in a discreet way, like
none of this is
no
new.
Trail. Nothing is new. And it made me understand so much more, like when she was trapped and he was like, why couldn't you trust me? Like I now understood a little bit more because he's like, we've been best friends since we were kids. Like, I get it. I might have gotten on your bad side by being a little overprotective over you, but like you could have trusted me with what was happening and thought that I'd keep your secret. I'm sure being friends for that long, they've kept secrets for each other and it didn't have to be that tough. Because
to your point, he did do a lot of incremental things in this book that were worth earning the trust back.
Mm-hmm. And then, I'm sorry, then she throws in the eyes here and I was like, I'm so in. Like, I forgive you. I mean, I don't like you, but like, it's fine. I'm not going to hate you anymore.
Yeah, right. I don't need to punch Dane Ados in the face anymore because someone else in the book did it for me.
Yeah. Because he got it from somebody else.
Deserved. I cheered for that. I don't know. I don't see the growth that you guys see in Dane at all. I see it. I still see him being not manipulative for like a big end means to an end, but more so for like, I need to be this good person so she can see I'm a good person. And instead of just being
if we're looking at like D&D alignment, Dane is a lawful good person, and lawful good people are fucking annoying because every now and then you have to break rules.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Which is why I'm a Slytherin.
Until now, I've seen there's been zero growth, in my opinion, of him as a character. Just because he's like, I'll do that for you. Okay, good for you. You should. And not because you're trying to earn my trust back. Let's just be on the same side, guy.
I'm sure it's going to take a lot of work to get there for you with this character. Yeah. But I do see him climbing up that hill.
I'm just going to say there was a point where I was like, fuck, we need to have Torian back on the show because I'm starting to feel differently about Dane.
Maybe one day. I don't think I'm ever going to get there, guys. I don't think I could do it.
My hate for everyone isn't that visceral. I do think people change or grow. And these are children we're talking about. Let's keep this in mind. We're children.
That man's in his 20s.
Whoever I was in my early 20s,
bro, when I was in college
against me.
Yeah. I would just leave it there. When I was in college, and I'm gonna leave that sentence right there.
Yeah.
Fair. I'm not the same person I was at 21 either. The scene where Riddick finds out Xaden's secret and cusses out Violet was one of my favorite moments of the book.
He's for the girls. He's for the gays. He's for the theys. He's 100% a ride or die, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Proper reaction.
It was a proper reaction, and it was the second time he's had one, because even when he says he wants to go on the quest squad, when he says, just because I'm funny doesn't mean you can't take me seriously, or I don't, if that's not the exact quote, but he raised a good point. Like, yes, he is a lot of times a smartass and the comic relief, but he is a ride or die friend towards Violet. He does care, and he wants to be on the right side of this war, and Violet needs to get out of her own way and let people help her.
Yeah. And I mean, he proved himself in the last book. Wasn't it Riddick, the person who said like, oh, well, you need the journals. And then everyone's like, what journals? And then he's like, yeah. I know something that you don't know, Violet Sorrengail. Like, all these writers had journals of how they raised the wards and blah, blah, blah. Like, and that's how they looked for them. So I'm like, Riddick is still tapped in. Just because he likes to giggle and he bed hops like a frog does not mean he's not intelligent. You sluts have feelings too. And brains.
This is another reason though why I need like word for word adaptation on this book in particular, because if we do not see an actor going, but I fuck like a 30-year, I'm gonna kill someone.
So funny. Just honestly, I love that man.
I love him too. I don't really have anything else until they all leave because Mira's been kidnapped.
Really quick, I have two things now that you said that. My first thing is, can we just talk about Sawyer and his amazing prosthetic? And I loved his journey in this book, but I'm just still I am stuck on the fact that he can wield metal and they gave him a metal leg. And I just feel like in the next book, he's gonna like turn his leg into a knife, shake somebody, turn it back into a leg, and like run, because the Iron Squad is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. Also, one time at the weed shop, I saw a girl who had a prosthetic that was completely chromed out. And she was automatically the coolest person I've ever seen in my life. So I already knew what this looked like when he was describing it. I was like, oh, we're on that T2 shit. I already know you're like the hottest guy on the planet. With also the coolest prosthetic leg. I see it. Don't tell me you don't see it.
Yeah.
okay, talking about Mira, her visit to grandma, shady as hell.
So
shady as hell.
Are we
And
never gonna get that info?
I am one of the people who like I am a Sorrengail family stan. I love the Sorrengail siblings. When people try to say that Brennan is shady, I am the first person to jump in and start arguing with them and tell this book because Mira, where the fuck were you? Something about it is off.
Yeah.
The first time you've ever taken leave and you ain't gonna tell nobody where you're at. And I get it.
And she and Brennan are
Siblings,
just
we
like
don't
hanging out the
always
whole time.
100% communicate. You know, you very much get the headline. And then when it's done, you can have the tags. But like it's a little wild that we are in a war. We are in a war and you just hopping on dragons, flying away, not telling people where you're going. Like, girl.
And then coming back and being like, oh, I just want to go see grandma, who nobody in our family talks to.
Who
Girl.
you never seen. Like,
never heard of. Not like first time talking about a grandma being alive.
Shady.
like, these kids have no family.
Shady.
That means in the next book we got to go see grandma. Like that's.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The second one they got in that argument, and then I can't remember if it was Brennan who said it or if it was Mira who said it, but one of them like tells Violet, like, oh, it would be better for you to hear it in person. I'm like, oh, okay, so we gonna go see grandma next book. Got you. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is her. Oh, go ahead.
I do want to say though, it wasn't just Mira, but it was both of the Sorrengail siblings that came off just a little shady to me this entire book because they were never rightfully communicating with Violet. Mm-hmm. She was always put in like 1 and 2 together. And she was like, oh, this is what's happening. She's like, you know,
but
Brennan
this is
all of a sudden is like,
bias.
I can't heal him. And then she's like, heal who? And he's like, Xaden. And she's like, oh, that's what you've been trying to do? I was like, you could have let her know that beforehand. Like, it's just a lot.
This is my bias.
Is something I don't like in a book.
This is my bias, though, as a youngest sibling, is that I do not think it was miscommunication or shadiness. I think it was older siblings being older siblings. Older siblings think they always know everything. They run off and do stuff, and then they have to come back and tell you about it as a younger sibling. And half the time, as a younger sibling, you're like, that was a dumbass plan. And if you had run it by me first, I would have told you that up top, and we could have fixed this plan. But you didn't do that because you still think I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I feel like my younger siblings are just reckless, which is why I don't tell them stuff because
exactly. Okay, Brennan and Mira. Okay.
But younger siblings throw hands too quickly. Y'all are crazy. Like I'll be like, I don't like her, and you like, and I'm a fighter. And I'm like, wait, no, I didn't say you have to fight her. I just said I don't like her. Like it doesn't have to.
And this is exactly why Mira and Brennan would not tell Violet everything. You are proving my point. It has nothing to do with being shady. They're just older siblings.
All right, I'll give that to you. I'm a middle child, so like, you know.
No, I am team Brennan is not shady. I am team that he's like being held together by a runestone like a wyvern, but I don't even think he knows that.
Yeah. I am team Brennan is held together by a rune. But also, there was a mention at the end of the book, I don't know if you guys caught it, where they said, like, there's no siphoning scar on Brennan.
Yeah, that's why I think, because I kind of thought it before, and other people have posited that theory, but I wasn't 100% behind it. Once this book came out and they said there was no scar, that's when I really got behind that theory. And I think if you go back to book 1, I think it's Violet and Mira cut open a wyvern and they find out that it like doesn't have a heart. It has like a rune stone inside of it.
That hums.
Yeah, that hums.
And so, yeah, I think that Naolan did like everything he possibly could to save Brennan, turned Venin, and then put a rune stone in him. Now, whether or not Brennan was awake or aware during that process, I personally think no. I think he has no clue that he's like a fucking Frankenstein, but I do think he's a Venin Frankenstein.
Yeah. And I also love that we are all just 100% on board. Like Naolan and Brennan, they were fucking. Because like, honestly,
100%.
Why would you save somebody's life with your life unless you was like in love?
Well, that's the whole thing. It says it cost him everything.
Yeah.
But I don't think everything refers to like Tairn or his life, whatever. I think everything refers to Brennan. I think when Brennan woke up and realized Naolan was a Venin, he was like, I am out. So yeah, it cost Naolan everything. It cost him the love of his life. And that's why I also think he's so hardcore about trying to heal Xaden, because he realized that he fucked up. He lost love of his life and he could have tried to save him. So I think now he's trying to like save his sister from repeating his mistakes.
Yeah.
I get it.
When they said Onyx Storm,
But definitely they was fucking
I
sure.
get excited like I did.
What?
Oh, I have this thing. Like if I'm watching a movie or a TV show and they say the title of the movie or the TV show, well, then I clap. So I was reading a book. I was literally like reading a book and they did it. And I was like, yeah.
They said it. I love those moments
Before
too.
we skip towards the thing, can we talk about, oh God, I can't remember her name, but she got on my nerves so hardcore. But how she accidentally burned up their teacher and
Aura.
Yeah.
Aura
Binding.
got on my last. She got on my last nerve. I was reading and I was picturing Leah Michelle. That's how annoying this girl was to me. And so when she accidentally burnt that teacher up, I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from the minute Homegirl was like trying to squabble up with Kat in the thing, I was just like, yo, like, you've already, like, sure, you can be mad at the rebellion and the fact that you had to fight and like go to war and that, oh, well, the wards were taken down. It would have happened anyway, Heffa. Like, if that's what you haven't learned, what's wrong with you? You should not be mad anymore. We fought in a war together. It was going to happen, whether or not I left or not. You should be happy I left because I brought back people who trained and know how to fight these things. Like, get your whole self together, girl. So that's why I was so annoyed with her. And you know, Rebecca, if she wants to kill somebody, she's going to make it a spectacle. And she like setting Grady on fire in the charred flesh and then Aura dying. I was just like, dang, girl. Well, you messed up. You messed up.
Anything else before we get to the last like couple chapters?
Let's just skip to it. And if I remember, I'll just tack it on at the end because we don't go in order anyway.
Skip to the end. The way when I read about Mira's throat just being, I was honestly shocked. I was not expecting that yet. I feel like Mira was going to die, but maybe book 4, maybe make it to book 5.
So I have read, I mean, I watch a lot of, not read, I have watched a lot of horror movies. And that is one of my least favorite kills types in a horror movie, when they slit the throat, because then people start choking on their own blood. And it's just so like, I could very much see what was happening when we got there.
Yes.
And I was so upset. And I am a family Sorrengail stan. And Violet has already lost so much. They cannot take her fucking siblings from her too.
So then we have like Sloane who comes up. Brennan's trying to heal her. It's never been done with someone this injured. And like it ends with us not knowing. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I need to know. Is she gone? Please, Team Sorrengail family, put it back together.
I mean, she's apparently kicking.
Then we get Sloane and Dane.
Eyes here.
Eyes here. Hold my hand.
I'm going to hurt you. Oh, don't I know it? I was like, oh my. I'm sorry. I am very vocal when I read.
I didn't read it sexy like that. I just was like, yeah, I know. Like, to me, it was so like, yeah, I'm aware. It's going to hurt. I know. Like, I didn't read it in any kind of sexy, flirty tone.
But it's so funny. This is one thing I love about reading books, because people come away with these different interpretations. And there are a lot of people who are on your side, Sarah. They're just like, oh, she was talking about physical pain of pulling power from him. And the rest of us were like, oh, no, it's sexy time.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a hot thing to say. Yeah. You know, sometimes you say something and you're like, that was kind of hot. It was a hot thing to say.
I definitely think that they are going to be a couple just because of like the literary device of foils. And so that coupling would become a foil to Violet and Xaden. And it would honestly make Dane a better person because he's had so much against marked ones and this, that, or the other. And so for him to fall in love with one would really make him change his foundations and his perceptions.
Yeah.
Very true.
Very, very true.
But also kind of gross that because she's younger than Violet, and Violet was already younger than Dane. So in my head, I'm like, wait.
It's a 2-year age gap, girl.
Yeah.
Don't try to make this out like he's R. Kelly.
She's 19 and he's like 21.
Okay, because in my head, I'm like,
Dane is 1 year above Violet, and Sloane is 1 year below Violet.
Yeah.
Okay.
They went to the same
then
high
why
school
is
together.
Xaden so much older than her?
He isn't.
He isn't. He's like 23, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I feel like that's even a high number. He's like 22.
Yeah. He was
Because
a third when she was a first year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess same dynamic, same thing.
Yeah.
Very much the foil of it. We love a mirror. Can't wait for the double wedding. Let's circle back because you said if something popped up.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were talking about the Gossip Girl Thanksgiving that was Aiden's family. And I was like, wait, this is the most insane, like, back and forth ever. Like, well, you drank the Airmint tea. And is that what's called?
Even 5 minutes before. No, you need to rewind even 5 minutes before that when Garrick is eating the cake and they all stop. And like, this is such a niche reference, but have y'all seen Congo? And you know when Tim Curry is eating that cake and the king is like, stop. And Tim Curry makes that stupid face and his mouth is still full of cake. Like, that's what I thought Garrick looked like. Like, brr, brr.
I just thought of, have you seen the new Jumanji movies?
Yeah, of course.
Where Kevin Hart's like thing is like cake is like one of his weaknesses that'll kill him. And I was just like, oh, he has a silly weakness. I know it was like poison cake.
The way he described that scene and like no one else is touching their food and Garrick is just like
okay. They're precious angel babies.
They're just young boys. They're starving.
Yeah. But I loved that scene because I loved when he is not a king on that island, but the head of the like triumvirate or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, you didn't poison us. And then immediately Xaden's mom is like, I'm gonna be sick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, oh, she had a lot. She had a normal amount. What about you? It's coming.
It's coming. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So it's this like, you give me the antidote. No, you give me the antidote. Look, we could die. We could all be some dead motherfuckers in here. Or
and your kids could die because my dragon.
And your kids could die. Because my dragon got your baby.
My dragon's got your babies. And that's what he's like, my heirs. Those are the ones that's the thing that matters.
It was good. Everything that happened on the Isles was incredibly chaotic and fun. And I read that whole section just like new episodes of a book. Like I was just like, oh, like new episodes of a show. I was like, and we're going here. And we're going here. Like it was so much fun to me.
I think that this book may need to be 2 seasons of a TV show because each island needs its own episode. Each island needs its own episode.
And see that the season can end when Andarna's people show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then we'll pick up after that.
And then season break, and then it comes back.
Yeah.
Hey, Amazon Prime, Michael B. Jordan, just give us like $5 and invite us to the premiere. You're welcome.
or just hire me. Like, I could do that, you know?
I could be a script supervisor. I'd be a good script supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need a Xaden. That's your. I know that's not your name, but that's what we're calling you today. Can you say that line again? My queen, my throne. Uh-huh. One more time. That audio was weird. You said it backwards.
Was it my house, my chair, my woman?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be great. I can't wait to see the casting on this show. I can't wait to see the scripts. I know we're probably going to get more BTS of that before we'll get another book, but at least we know it's coming.
Yeah.
My only request is that the book series finishes before the TV show does. Like the books need to outpace the TV show. I don't want a Game of Thrones situation.
Thank you. So at the end, towards the end of the book, we get a couple of chapters that are not from Violet. We have like a Pippa chapter and an Imogen chapter, right? I believe it was Imogen. And then a Xaden chapter. And at first I was like, who's Pippa? And I could not remember who this character was.
I'm confused right now. You keep saying Llewellyn. Who the fuck is Pippa?
I swear, I literally was like, who is talking? And I went back.
It was Rhiannon.
It was Rhi.
Yeah, it was Rhiannon. Who the fuck is Pippa?
I don't know. This is what I heard, Pippa. And I don't know what that is.
There's an issue with this audiobook shit.
I was like, who the fuck? I'm just going to listen. And then Imogen, right? Is Imogen the other one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I got that one. Okay. So Rhiannon has one. I was like, Pippa? Who's Pippa? And I was like, I'm just going to roll with it because I'm just going to assume it's
We've got Rhi.
Yeah, that they've added. Thank you. Now that makes more sense. I'm kind of torn on these chapters because I like that I get to see what was happening, not with Violet's battle, but also they felt like added chapters to make the book longer because nothing really that important happens outside of the death.
I disagree with that. I think there was a battle that we needed to understand how that battle played out, and you weren't going to get that just from Violet's point of view. There's a crack theory that some people are saying that I kind of also buy into, is that Violet can do, as her signet will grow, she can do more than dream walk. She can potentially just walk into people's minds. And so some people are saying that she was walking into their minds and seeing what was happening. And that's how those chapters actually exist. And they are saying that the chair scene in Iron Flame was her walking into Xaden's mind, which I thought that was him showing her through the bond, but I'm kind of willing to buy it. But regardless, I think we needed to see what happened in that battle, and there was not going to be a good way to see that all from Violet's point of view because she was too busy killing Theophany
with the magic dagger from the people of Dune. The icy dagger.
Mike Tyson.
The girl puts it together real fast. Like, I was also like, why wouldn't you read this letter from Arik as soon as you got it? Like, you just waiting till it stabs you in the pocket.
That was the only part that really pissed me off at the end of this book, why didn't you read that letter? If Arik decided to send you a letter in the middle of a battle, in the middle of a war, I'm pretty sure you need to know what is in it.
Important. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she waits until it stabs.
Yeah, what is this? Don't give me this. I don't want this. And just like put it in her pocket.
She's like, thanks for the knife and the receipt, I guess. Like, is that what she thought it was? I don't know.
I have no idea. But then all of a sudden she's like, oh, this is Arik's signet. And I don't trust psychics, but I trust signets. And I was like, cool. I think it's cool that he's a precog. I think it's cool that we are getting into all these different intrinsic levels of seeing into minds and reading the future and all that. Yeah. But why did Arik not say something when Halden went to the islands? Like, he knew what was going to happen,
Because that was it had to happen that way, and that's the whole thing. So being a precog is not intrinsic, and I just want to throw that out there because Melgren is a precog, just not. She describes it as like, he's a true precog, so he can see like the entire future. And so I'm not just a huge fan of fantasy, I'm also a huge fan of sci-fi, and time travel movies and time travel paradoxes are two things that I love and I love talking about. And basically, it's like the butterfly effect. If he had stopped Halden from going to the islands, then things could have played out completely differently and worse. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like the first Butterfly Effect is great at explaining time travel paradoxes. And it's one of my favorite time travel movies. The other ones are all shit. And I've watched them multiple times because even though they're terrible movies, they're very entertaining.
I didn't know that there were more than 2.
Girl, go on Netflix. There's like 4 of them. They're all bad, except for the first one.
I saw the second one and I was like, this is trash.
Where it's his sister? Oh, so bad.
But yes, that is a great movie. And you're right. These are some things that I forget to take account of when it comes to fantasy. But fantasy is just so much, dude. But
a lot. Like with the end of this book, we're now messing with Violet's mind and someone erasing it because she told her to. Like,
I mean, are we jumping ahead to that?
That's basically where we're at. Those 2 chapters happen, a Xaden chapter happens, and then Violet wakes up.
Okay, hold on. Really quick though, I do want to say that, and I know a lot of people don't feel this way, but the Imogen chapter fucked me up. And I felt like it was Liam all over again because, mind you, Quinn was there. She was a cool background character. I did not necessarily have feelings for her. But when we get their backstory and she's like, it was a good one and then dies, fuck me up, fam.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Imogen because I like Imogen a lot, but I had zero connection to Quinn. I was literally like, who is this again? Like, that's who she was to me. Like, she was very forgettable.
I just think every girl in this book has their ride or die bestie. You know, we have Kat and Marin, we have Vi and Ree, and Imogen had her Quinn, and her A1 day one is gone. And to hold your best friend as they die, like incredibly sad. But also Garrick, freaking distance wielding Imogen and Mira across continents, carrying them at the same time.
Imogen is going to be going through it the next book, and I am ready to see how she leans on Vi and how their relationship grows, because Imogen loses her A1 day one, and then she loses her boyfriend, not boyfriend, Garrick, because everybody knows they have a thing for each other. Riddick calls it out, and it's like, oh, did I say that shit out loud?
Hey, yeah.
I thought of that so funnily, though. Like, you know how you're like, oh my God, just fuck already. And then you're like, oh my God, I said that out loud.
Oh,
but, sometimes when you drink, like the filter is gone. And you're just like, I'm so sick of this too.
I have ADHD and I talk to myself a lot. And so there are a lot of times where I'm just saying shit and I'm like, oh, fuck, that was out loud. Other people heard me. Oops.
My bad.
So yeah, no, this is poor Imogen.
Yeah. Keiki and I have talked about who we want to play Imogen in the show, and we really want Peyton List from Cobra Kai and School Spirits.
I don't think I know who that girl is. I keep imagining, oh my God, Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones and Divergent.
So Peyton is basically a young version of her.
Okay, cool. Natalie Dormer's just too old at this point, which
I'll send you a photo. Okay. Like, we know she can kick ass because of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And then she's really good at playing like a dark, snarky character in that show and in School Spirits. And I just think she's got like the energy, and she's very much how I picture her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I also think she'd look good with like the side of her head shaved and pink hair.
Absolutely. Like, the Natalie Dormer vibe in Hunger Games.
I said Divergent. Yeah, it's Hunger Games. My bad.
Oh, that's right. I heard it and my brain corrected it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in the same world.
Yeah. Same diff.
Anyway.
So we read fantasy. Sometimes it has romance in it.
Yeah. Thoughts on the way this book kind of hastily ends? And I don't say that as a bad thing.
It definitely, I mean, here's the thing. We read a lot of Yaros. We've read the other books. We know they're all going to end on a hit cliffhanger. That's fine. I feel like I could have used 5 more pages of this book.
Yeah.
And I am now having a love-hate relationship with some of the mysteries and theories. And I think it's because in between book 2 and 3, there were so many, and people get so, myself included, we get so invested in our theories. And then we start going back and forth with each other, and then we start arguing, and then the next book comes out and we're all fucking wrong. Every last one of us. 100%. And so that's why I'm like, I do not want to hear another theory about the Empyrean series, because guess what? Yaros is going to come out, slap us with the fish in the face, and be like, no, dog, the clues were on page 7, 8, and 9. And then we're going to go back and be like, fuck, they were there the whole time.
The whole time.
So yeah. It's a cliffhanger, and there are lots of clues and lots of theories, and I'm sure we're going to lay out ours, but I'm prepared to be wrong.
Also, I like that we heard Segale a lot more this book because I feel like she's been silent and like she like spoke up for Violet a few times, and I like that. And so like in the end, in the Zayden chapter, she's like, if that's what you think's best, bro, I guess we'll go do that, even though she's mad at
Because I'm
Zayden the
telling
whole
you,
time.
she's like a black mama. She just sitting there letting everybody else argue. And then when she's finally had enough of it, she's going to be like, okay, no, y'all, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Basically, she told Zayden, if you like it, I love it, which is a very much a black mom thing.
You like it? I love it.
You like it, I love it.
Because like, you know how all the chapters have like a little mini excerpt of something?
Yes.
Right? So this one was like, anyone can get married and blah, blah, blah. And then she wakes up and she's married and remembers nothing of the last.
No, can I tell you guys something funny? And I should have mentioned this earlier, but I have a screenshot on my phone. I can show it if you don't believe me.
No, I believe you.
I got I think a quarter through the way of Onyx Storm, and I wrote it and screenshot it so I would have a timestamp that I knew that they were going to end up married by the end of this book just because I had done a reread.
Mm.
And one thing that I noticed having read the books, I think 3 times now, well, the first 2, 3 times, and then Onyx Storm just once, but Rebecca Yarros does not mention anything that is a throwaway. Even with Liam wielding ice, and she was like, oh no, that was an editing mistake. And she fucking lied to us because no, they all have second signets. So there are no editing mistakes, there are no throwaway lines. And when you go back and read Fourth Wing, in the very beginning, when they're crossing the parapet, there's a kid that her and Rhiannon meet, and he talks about how excited he is that he can get married, and him and his girlfriend are waiting until he's done blah, 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 and then he falls off the parapet. And I was like, that was a really kind of it felt like a non sequitur, right? And then you get into the second book, and again, something gets mentioned about marriage, and I'm like, and the rules about when cadets can get married. And so that's why when it came up like a third time in Onyx Storm, I was like, oh, they're gonna fucking get married this book. Because why else would you keep
but
about,
a lieutenant can do whatever they, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
so
why would you keep mentioning it? Why would she keep mentioning it?
Why keep mentioning it? Like, get it, they're gonna get married.
Yeah.
I knew when the freaking emerald was missing from the sword and she mentions it, I was like, that is so random to mention. Oh my God, is a freaking ring coming? And like, I thought it was going to be, you know, like we were going to get some like little mini wedding scene or something in the aisles again, not a whole, I woke up and I'm married. Like,
and my mind was erased because I asked you to. Like, what?
I was just like,
okay, here's what I think, and you guys can cut me off, disagree with me, whatever. Like I said, I'm trying not to be invested in these theories anymore.
Yeah.
So there are 4 missing riders and 6 missing eggs, and then Violet has no memory of the 12 hours in between the battle ending and her waking up, and Imogen has erased her memories because I asked her to. I think that Zayden, Bodhi, and Garrick are off doing Venin quest. They're doing some Venin stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. Either Bodhi or Garrick is the one that turned, and then the third one was like, well, I'm coming too. So the 3 of them are off doing some shit.
Yeah.
Potentially trying to find a cure, going to meet Berwyn. I don't know. They're doing some weird Venin shit. I think Ark is the 4th rider who is missing, and I think he has the 6 eggs, and I think he's going back to the Queen of the Dune Isle to make some sort of deal. Yeah. I think that Dune and Lola are going to be big parts. Yes. I think they're going to be big parts of the next book because there's that one chapter heading quote that says like both war and love change souls irrevocably.
Yes.
And Violet is halfway dedicated to Dune. So I think we have to figure out what the fuck that means. And then they never visited the island with Loyal? They never visited Loyal's island. So I definitely think that that's going to come into play. So maybe Zayden has to go get dedicated. I don't know. They're off doing some bullshit. Yeah. Eric has the dragons and he's off doing some bullshit. They got married to secure the throne, but also there's a part where Zayden says something about how like, oh, I wouldn't use you to protect Tyrandor. I would use Tyrandor to protect you.
Right.
So whatever they did in that 12 hours is again something that is punishable by death because Andarna even says, I'm not gonna let them burn you. So it's punishable by death, whatever they fucking did, besides stealing the dragon eggs. And I think by making her the Duchess of Tyrandor, it then makes her above reproach and not able to die about it. And I think that she had Imogen wipe her memories for plausible deniability, because whatever the fuck they did is a big deal. Have you guys read the
down in 12 hours? Like
that's the only reason I think her mind was wiped for deniability.
Have y'all read Throne of Glass? That series?
No, I have to get.
Okay, so for any of our listeners who have, and y'all can comment, but whatever scheme they did, this is some Aelin level scheming. The lead character in Throne of Glass she's one of those like playing 3D chess kind of characters, and then 20 pages later, she's like, haha, gotcha. So I think that they're on some haha gotcha shit right now.
Also, isn't Dune the place with the little girl that like kind of looked like Violet? That like
yeah.
Like she's gonna come into play for some reason too. Like they wouldn't, like as you said, Rebecca doesn't do things to do things.
Yeah, and I think that was because we kind of learned that like it now has to be your choice to be dedicated.
Right.
So maybe that little girl was like partially dedicated by parents or something, and now she's like learning the ways before they will go through with it completely, or like partially touched by Dune, and now she has to learn before it completely happens. Which also very awesome to become a nun basically and have badass silver hair gifted to you for it. Like dope.
I do think what's kind of funny is this podcast is our longest, and it's the shortest book, and it's the one people have complained about the most, and it's the one that we have all really enjoyed and had this big of a discussion with, and I think that says a lot.
And I feel like we didn't even cover half the book. We could come back.
We skipped so much just because I was like,
a lot. We can talk for ages about this book, but I do want to say I think that is partly because we are fantasy readers.
Yeah,
and if you have listened to this podcast, you know that a lot of our previous books are fantasy. And because of that, we don't mind a little world building. And the stepping stones in this book were done impeccably. And thank you so much, Rebecca.
Yeah, it's a thing that I've started to notice now hanging out more on Book Talk and more on Threads is that there are voracious readers like us where we are basically reading a book. We are in the middle of a book at all times in our lives, and we love to read and we really sit there and think about it and analyze. And there are other people who do not read that deeply. And like, I was shook because I saw a TikTok where one girl was like, oh, I only read the dialogue. And people in comments were like, yes, yeah, me too. And I'm like, how? Ooh, it broke my brain and it hurt and I didn't like it. And I don't want to think about it that much.
Yeah.
But even my homegirl Brie was like, oh, I skimmed Iron Flame. And I was like, Brie, I'm going to kill you. And I yelled at her and was like, you have to go back and read the whole fucking book, Brie, because otherwise nothing will make sense. And of course she started Onyx Storm and she's like, what's a Llewellyn? And I was like, girl, I told you.
Go back.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if you guys, because it's going to be a minute. Like Rebecca Yarros has said she's working on a different book before even like finished whatever the fourth book is. She goes
back to her contemporary in between.
Yeah, she's contractually obligated to do a contemporary novel, and then she will do the next Empyrean novel. But the thing is, she said at one of the book stops that she's having a really hard time writing right now. And like every time she opens up a Word document, she's like having anxiety. So, prayers and love to her because I know what that feels like, and we're gonna get the book when we get it.
Exactly.
Look, we waited a long time. Not that we want to, talk about Harry Potter extensively because J.K. Rowling is who she is, but we waited hella long time between them books, and we were children, so we got this.
Yeah, and
that's true.
To do like another reread, catching all and like taking notes and catching all the things we missed. That
I told
connect to Onyx Storm. I think that could be. We could do that in like a couple months or something. Let everybody catch up.
I told you the next time I read these books, I'm gonna make a board. Because I have my Pepe Sylvia moment that I need to have.
And then we can
let's do PowerPoints. Sorry, I always loved a PowerPoint presentation.
I did not.
PowerPoint party. I have to do too many of them for work, so sometimes they've lost their stuff. But I will say, I start therapy with a new therapist this week, and I made her a PowerPoint about me, so she would know what she was getting into.
You're a psychopath, and I love that for you.
She's got 36 years worth of lore to catch up on, okay? I'm not going to have her in our session. Listen, I'm not going to have her in our session looking at me going, what's a Llewellyn? She needs to know.
Well, congratulations on your new therapist. If my therapist tried to drop me, I would hurt her. Like, it's been like 5 years. Girl, no, we locked in.
You're like, we're in it. Is there anything else you guys want to mention about Onyx Storm?
Violet's not pregnant. The end.
The end.
No, I don't think she's
Violet is disabled.
Yeah.
Violet is 20,
She's
21.
got pots. That's why her heart beats so fast.
She's got pots. She's got Ehlers-Danlos or whatever.
Mhm.
The girl has issues. Her knees are constantly popping in and out of place. And they're in the middle of a war. Ain't no way he put a baby in that. I'm just saying.
But see, this did lead up to me to a larger question. Again, this is why I need some of these novellas and these side quest books, because what did that look like for General Sorrengail to have? Like, well, how does that work? How does a pregnant rider work? And I just have questions.
You just
that
gotta,
I
she's
need
up there.
answered.
The same way you see the super pregnant lady in the gym. She's just working out. She's hopping on her dragon. You think Taryn would ever let anything happen to her?
Oh, absolutely not.
He
No.
crashed himself into a mountain to try and not hurt her. And then I thought he was you can't take him now. And he's fine. He was fine.
Yeah.
He just knocked himself out. It's all right. He's my favorite character.
Taryn's your favorite?
Yeah, I love him so much. He's such
Riddick is now my favorite character.
Who is him? Is it
Riddick.
Riddick? Yeah, Riddick's my second favorite. I love him too.
He my bestie. I just know we'd be friends. I just know we'd be friends.
All right, guys. This was a good one. I'm going to go edit it now.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you listening enjoy it. And comment, email, all the things.
Leave us your questions. We have a long time in between the next book. We can devote a whole episode just to answering your questions.
Oh my God, 100%.
Exactly. Is there something that we missed? Because I know we missed a lot.
We skipped a lot.
That you want to talk about in detail? Just
Let's
drop
do
it in a comment. Send an email. We'll come back and explore it. We've got
like teenagemail@gmail.com because I'm not paying for a .com. That's just expensive, and we are in a recession. Gmail, thank you. Hey, that's all I got, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Maybe the Mindfuck series, maybe Divine Rivals. We'll pick one, and I'm home. So
Keiki and I have also read Quicksilver. Hex seems really good. I read Manacled because I wanted to read that before it became an actual novel in September. There are lots of stuff we could talk about.
Yeah, I read Twin Daggers, which I was telling Sarah is really good because she didn't really care for Divine Rivals.
no, which I think would be a fun discussion if both of you loved it and I didn't. We could talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that I've read in between the time of Sarah reading 2 books. You know?
Look, I said I need a deadline.
We can
Otherwise,
just
I
go on
only
my
listen in my
Storygraph
car, which I don't.
We can go on my Storygraph and pick something. It's fine.
We have the 2, Divine Rivals and Mindfuck. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Those are the ones I've read.
Yeah. I know, but
Right.
Divine Rivals has a second book, and I feel like you're not going to read the second book. So
Doesn't matter.
It does.
it does.
Because it's more like one long book than 2 books. But anyway.
Yeah.
Does anything actually happen in the second book? Because nothing happens in the first.
Okay, girl, bye.
book.